Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Tran will be on momentarily. Hopefully, everybody can hear me. We are here the eve before the spring game, the Texas spring game, 2024 spring game. I'm talking about obviously assuming the game occurs, right? I mean, we know there's some weather concerns there in Austin, Texas. I will be watching if there is a game from here in the DFW area. I won't be down there as I just got back home this week, but excited to talk about ball nonetheless. Thank you for everybody that's already here. Hook 'em, hook 'em, hook 'em. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe. You guys know that's our way of taking attendance as you come in. When you come in, you hit that like button, and admission to the chat, right? To be a subscriber. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Really appreciate it. Again, like I said, Tran is on the way, so we will be back out here, both of us talking. But want to talk to you guys, right? I had the pleasure of being on with the great Mark Rogers this week and a bunch of the fellas over there as they kicked off their Texas football YouTube platform. And so I did that earlier this week on Monday, and shared a lot of my thoughts and things I want to see, expectations coming out of the spring, things we want to see in the spring game if we have one, blah blah blah. And then Trent and I had our initial conversation, obviously last week. But right now, it's I'll kick off some talking points, but I want to live in the chat tonight and talk with you guys. Where's everybody's heads at with everything that you've heard post spring? Obviously we've had 14 practices. The last scrimmage, if we get to have one, is for the fans. It's for us. It's to build up that hype. It's to kind of see the validation of things we've heard. You've heard nothing but great things about a Malik Muhammad, right? Last scrimmage, Andrew Makuba, the growth of guys like Jadon Blue. So young freshmen like Ryan Wingo, we want to see these guys in action. I remember last year when we got a chance to see A.D. Mitchell for the first time in Texas gear and him having that highlight reel catch in the back of the end zone. I don't know if y'all remember that one-hander, but those were the things that kind of we lived on going into the summer, into the season of the possibility, right? And seeing a player like that in a Texas uniform. So real excited to be back here. I know I've been gone for a minute, y'all. It's been a lot of life going on, so stick with us. I'm never leaving permanently, but life happens, and it's good to be back on and talking ball. So, and I think I got Tran here. Let me add him on as well. Jay Tran, what's good, man?
What's going on? How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Hopefully, you can hear me smoothly and everything.
I can.
All right. All right. So we are in the intro. Everybody's just checking in the chat. I appreciate it. What's up, CB? I see you. I see you. And Tran, I set the tone with these guys. We'll have talking points and we'll go through and kind of go through the roster and our expectations. But we're living in the chat tonight, right? It's going to be very conversational about our takeaways from spring practice thus far, and whatever the expectations are if there is a game tomorrow. But we are going to be speaking as if there is a game tomorrow. So what's going on, everybody? Good to see you in here, Luke Butler. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it. Tran, before I get started, I also need to give a shout out to the sponsor, Autograph. Shout out to Autograph. If let me know if you actually have downloaded the app and have been using the app and seeing some of the rewards there. But Autograph, awesome app, rewarding fan loyalty, right? So anytime you want to go and read an article, listen to a UT podcast, or watch a Texas Longhorn video, you can do it through Autograph and get rewarded. So every time somebody says, you're too much of a fanatic and you're too obsessed with Texas football, you can tell them now you're getting rewarded for it. You're getting access to tickets and merch, prizes, and you can take along those haters with you if you win, right? If you refer a friend, if you have fellow fanatics out there that are Texas heads, we're growing the Texas community. It is now available, by the way, on Android as well. So use that. So I need to update the Apple Store things, but it's available on Android now. Use Fanatic 24 as your way of entry onto the app. But it's a tremendous app. Check out Autograph, founded by the GOAT Tom Brady. Tran, how we doing, brother?
Doing well, man. You're getting good at those little call reads, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. It's like once you start seeing those checks, you're just like, all right, man, I gotta do this. I gotta do this right.
ZT Sports, what's good? What's good? What's good? Look, let's just start top down, right? I mean, we've talked a lot about Quinn Ewers, and we had that conversation last week. There was the On Three article that came out today about helmet communication, as well as the 2 minute warning that will be added to the to college football this year, which is strictly for commercials, by the way. The 2 minute warning. We don't need a 2 minute warning in college with the clock stopping on first downs, in my opinion. I think that's unnecessary, but they're going to get their bread regardless. But the helmet comms, I'm very excited about. And from a communication standpoint, I think the defense will benefit just as much, if not more, than the offense. But as we look at the quarterbacks first, this QB room is interesting because the last scrimmage, they said Arch finally had his best overall showing, and he's really, progressing nicely behind the scenes. And you actually heard some things about QB4 Cole Lord, just showing how deep the room is. Who I think he completed every single pass he threw from the reports I read, and that's a guy who had offers to come to Texas and shoot and walked on over here. So just showing the depth and the competitiveness in the quarterback room. But it starts and ends with Quinn. And I think if, with tomorrow, I do want to see him look good for however much we get to see. And I want to see him, really have more of a command of things, and where it's noticeable. I think Tran last year, the first spring practice, it was about just seeing Quinn in a Texas uniform and seeing the arm talent. And if, we remember the big deep shot he hit to Isaiah Nayer, right? Just seeing the mullet out there. I think last spring it was like, all right, everybody was paying attention to his body. We had heard all these reports about him slimming down and getting into better football shape. I think now in year three, and it's like a narrative that goes on, but year three, tell me what you think, Tran. I think it's up here now. It's how is he mentally and how is he comms with his teammates? What say you in terms of the expectations from the quarterback position?
So growing up, I followed a lot of Michael Jordan. Obviously, I did. And one of the things he said every single offseason, he perfected one specific tool to his game. I think it honestly should be around the same thing for a quarterback, especially at one of the toughest position on the football field. We all knew that Quinn had the arm talent. We all knew he had the skill, the pedigree, etc. I'm with you. Is like now it's his team. He has to run with it. He has to. I want to see him be able to make calls at the line, things like that. I would like to see that at the game. It's like, hey, he sees something and then call it at the line, call something different at the line. Start for the progression. I think you and I said this at the last video that we did was start the progression for this is pre NFL for you this year. This is all your tape that you're doing for the NFL, and show what types of skills and what new tools you added to your tool belt that's going to make you that much better than everyone else.
It's interesting too, the footwork aspect. We're hearing a few comments here in the chat about also they're agreeing with us, but also wanting to see Quinn's footwork married with his head. That's one of the most underrated things of quarterback play.
Mm-hmm.
Period. And Tran, as you guys continue to develop your kids in the coaching community, and you guys are getting more and more advanced with quarterback play, footwork is everything. And, Quinn, his footwork has, let's just say it's been inconsistent throughout his career at Texas, right? I think that's a nice way to put it. At times, I think we've seen when he has, been on time with his feet and been able to really step into throws, he's shown he can be special, right? And then there's other times where it's lackadaisical and he's off the back foot. And, as a lot of guys with big time arms, they tend to get too reliant on the
Mhm.
arm and lose those fundamentals, right? And the guys that like a Colt McCoy or somebody that doesn't have as much as that arm talent, they have to have good footwork. They have those are non-negotiables for them. So to your point about the NFL, right? That's another thing they're looking at, right? Is making sure the feet are also important for our RPO stuff and how dynamic we want to get marrying run and pass, by the way, as well as bootleg concepts. The better you are, the sharper you are with your footwork, the more you can execute. So totally agree there. It has been a problem. It's also about pocket navigation too, right? There's been a couple times it hasn't been terrible because I think we had a very good offensive line, especially pass blocking wise last year. But he's walked himself into sacks just with his feet. You know what I mean? Where he's kind of been a magnet into a defensive end. So cleaning those things up, I still rest on this. And somebody said it earlier in the chat. Give me any year three Sark quarterback.
Mhm.
That's one thing I can take to the bank. I feel like
Well,
a quarterback in year three that's been with Steve Sarkisian for 3 years, they typically ball out. I mean, so this is the year for us to cash in. For him, we have an interesting receiver core because there's been some, and I think before I want to talk about Arch here too, but the receivers are interesting because we have a lot of talent in terms of the yak and the speed and the some of the diversity of the players, but we don't have those big body bailout guys like a Jatavian or a AD, at least not identified yet. Even Amari Nyblack is more of what he's going to do after he gets the football. But if Quinn is on point, we should actually be able to take advantage of those things. What do you want
which
to see from? Oh,
real
go
quick,
ahead.
real quick, like you brought up a good point. Is like that's another thing you want to see is you want to see what type of rapport he's built with his new receivers. Because going by I mean, he has zero people he threw passes to last year, except for Jonte Cook. I mean, he has Jonte Cook there, but for the most part, it's all brand new weapons that he has, and it still does take time to develop what each receiver where each receiver likes the ball, like how they want to place things like that. So it's something that I'm very interested in seeing. Hopefully that is. And on the deep balls, I want to see who will be that person who goes out and gets it, because you'll know who the deep ball person is for the team just by one or two plays this in the spring game.
I want to see Jonte show out in that regard. I mean, last year we saw a peak. We got a small sample of that. But somebody like that I know can get separation downfield. I think all these guys, Isaiah Bond had showed that at Alabama, obviously, and he delivered in the SEC. Matthew Golden and Silas Bolden that are coming along, but we got it. I talked about bailout guys. I want to see the freshman Ryan Wingo
Mm-hmm.
because that could be a bailout. That to me is like my basketball player out there, and with speed, by the way. Don't get it twisted. I know we're talking about all the other smaller guys that can run. He can run too, right? Anybody from the Wingo family, by the way, those people, all those people can run. That's one thing we know. But I want to see, the diversity of that because I do think, last year you have an 80, you have a Worthy, you have a Whittington. Those are all older heads in the game of college that played a lot of ball, a lot of experience. All three of them are going to be pro guys, including tight end if you want to include Jatavian Sanders. Now the quarterback got to step up and move those guys along. To your point, so that's something I think that's going to be interesting. Let me read a couple comments here. So Fahim said, "I don't want to put too much pressure on our receivers off rip. I think the talent is all there, but they are young, and I expect a bit of a rough start or some transition period." So I'll comment on this real quick, Tran, and then I'll let you take it. We are one of the highest percentage screen teams in the country. We run screens to the running backs. We run bubbles to the receivers. We run tight end screens. Especially with this group, we just talked about all the yak stuff. We're definitely running hella screens next year. So some of this stuff is going to be, I think, simplified in terms of the offense that we will deploy in 2024. I do think we will run a lot of quick game. Just from the standpoint of, if you look at Alabama, more so the 2019 version with Tua than the 2020 version with Mac Jones, but both apply. When they had Ruggs, Judy, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, those were a lot of times where they just got the football in their hand and they would take it 80 yards off a slant, right, or off a shallow cross. Like, those guys were just freaking athletes. So some of this stuff you don't have to think too deep. But yes, over the course of especially the gauntlet schedule we're playing, we need to be nuanced. They do need to be able to run their routes and be able to have a full menu the way we had last year with Worthy, 80, and the crew.
So I agree with you to a point on not putting pressure on the receivers. However, my thought process is we are one game away from a national championship, one game removed from a national championship opportunity last year.
Yep.
3 of the wide receivers left. You went out and got talent to fill those spots. I don't want excuses about that. I don't. I want to see us go out and I want to see us compete. We want to start being that NFL factory. This is how it starts. This group gets drafted, then the next group gets drafted, and then we just keep reloading and reloading and reloading, and then we just make it just a system in a factory of wide receivers being released. So I want to see us cook. Like, I think I saw someone let Jonte cook. I think it was CB that said that. But I want to see them all cook. I don't want and I think with the depth of our offensive line and the experience of our offensive line, I can expect us to take more deep shots down the field because we will have that protection for them. So I want to see. I want pressure on everyone, and that's why I think competition is so important. Because hey, if you're not competing and you're not doing your job, we got someone right behind you that's waiting for its opportunities, and that's when you get to be one of the great teams.
ZT said, this year I want to run the ball. Sark's always been balanced. If we just look at his time here at Texas, we've had, obviously we've had very productive years with Bijan Roshan. Last year, Jonathan Brooks was, probably a leader.
He was going to run away. He was going to run away with the Doak. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were probably going to have potentially back-to-back Doak winners before he goes down in the TCU game. And then the young boys stepped up after that. Like, the room actually popped off after Jonathan Brooks went down again, right? So, and now here's what I do want.
Hold up real quick. That which backs up my claim for the wide receivers. Is like, hey, it's your opportunity. Are you going to step up? Like that. That's what I want to see. And the running backs did it last year because I didn't see huge drop off with us running a stable of Blue and also Baxter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No. That's a good point. I mean, that's a mentality that has to carry over into every position room. Tashard Choice's group, they didn't make excuses. So Chris Jackson's room doesn't need to be making excuses. There's not even excuses to be made, really, because it's just picking up the offense. Isaiah Bond can play.
Yeah.
He's already shown he was in the playoffs too last year. He's more proven than AD Mitchell was when he got here last year, quite frankly. Matthew Golden, I wanted to get Matthew Golden out of high school before he went to Houston. And he went over there and performed. Silas Bolden, who's coming over from Oregon State,
Mhm.
has, career over 2,500 yards or something like that.
Yeah.
These are people that have already been playing high level football. They just need to pick up the plays and get on the page with the quarterback. But in terms of them performing on a field, I'm not worried about that. And then we haven't mentioned any of the DeAndre Moores, the Jonte Cooks, the Ryan Wingos, the Ryan Niblets, these high end talented receivers that everybody in the country was after. I think it's going to be more of, oh, we just are itching to get so and so on the field because we're rich of talent, right? Just like we were with the running back. So that's a great point. Here's my thing though, with the football, with the running the ball. My offensive line, Kyle Flood, great job just developing this over the years. I need my boys to be bullies now.
Hmm.
Now it's time to become bullies because we've been they've shown me that they are technically good and athletic in their pass protection sets. They've shown me that they are good in zone blocking sets. They've shown me a lot, right? They haven't been a liability. Let's keep it a buck. But I said it to you last week. I mentioned this on Mark Rogers' show. I'm playing that OU 1 yard tape every single time, man. Sometimes it's not about X's and O's. Sometimes it's about, you
Just like
know,
outmanning someone.
yes.
Yeah.
And at this point, there's no excuse why Texas, that's the next step. That's the step that Michigan football got to last year. Look, Michigan football was ending the game running the same play over and over again on people because they were just like, we are physically going to wear you down. You're not stopping me on 3rd and 3. You're not stopping me on 3rd and 2. We look, for all the as successful as we were last year, we had to resort to crazy tactics just to pick up a yard, right? I mean, so there's room for improvement. And I want to see my boys become bullies because that's only gonna make everything else easier, right? And so that's something I'm looking to see. And I know this is outside of the spring because in the spring, if we look like bullies in the spring game, then the concern about the middle of the defense becomes a problem, and everybody's
Yeah.
going to say, "Well, we don't have T. Sweat, we don't have Byron Murphy, we don't have Jalen Ford, and the middle of the defense is screwed." And if we don't run the ball well, then we're going to say, "Here we go again." So it's zero sum stuff. But for the season, Tran, I need my boys to become bullies.
I want to see them be maulers. Like I want them to play with an attitude, especially, especially when we're running in between the tackles. I want to see. I don't want to see stalemates at the line. I want to see a push forward, and I'm excited about that. Honestly, I'm excited to see what Campbell's going to be doing because I've heard some good things about him.
So I want to get to a couple questions here. Do y'all see us using depth in the receiver room this year to start? I think this is the first year with Sark that we will. I'm not going to say rotate. It's not going to be the Tom Herman musical chairs that I used to get mad
He's going to
about.
roll with the hot hand.
But I do think it'll be more than what we saw with Worthy and 80 and Whittington 11 personnel, where they took up 80-90% of the snaps.
Right.
I think based upon your room. Now I don't think he's still going. I still don't think he's going to play like 6 guys.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's going to go probably like maybe 4 or 5 guys that because they like having that personnel out there. That's how they roll, and it's more of an NFL mindset that they roll with. Now this kind of leads me into the next question. Stephen Trandy believes Sark's offense is more tailor made for SEC competition and scheme. We won't play 3 high flyover defenses anymore. Straight up, man. Most of the conference does, for sure. Obviously, Sark and Kyle Flood and Jeff Banks and a lot of the offensive personnel or staff, even Tashard Choice from a standpoint of the region, they come from SEC country. So, the familiarity there, when we play teams like Georgia, when we play the Floridas of the world, when we play a Stoops in Kentucky, we know what they're gonna do. It's more straight person. It's more personnel based, right? They feel like they have NFL athletes and they can match up. They don't have to resort to Iowa State. He caught three safeties in the middle of the field and all this confusion, right? With that being said, you need to be prepared to beat anything because you have a year three quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And we have seen people like when Barry Odom was in the conference at Arkansas, he ran three high. Now they don't do it anymore because he went over to UNLV. But we've seen coaches adopt certain tactics for certain things. So let's not act like we'll never, ever, ever see it again. You need to be prepared to beat certain things. With that being said, this is going to be more built for the way we want to play football. Just straight up. I mean, and that's why I'm talking about having that physical element, because I think while we are more adapted to deal with it, my biggest concern is we are going to lose people. It is going to be more, smash phone booth style type quarters that we deal with, right? Especially even if you're trying to close games. So, but this staff is just as familiar as anybody, and they've been building this team since 2021
For the
to get
SEC.
ready for
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 3 years ago when we had this offensive line recruiting class, we knew what this was for. We knew it was in preparation for the SEC. I am not too worried in terms of like athlete versus athlete because I think we can hit them in droves. I think we honestly could if he really does have a good rotation of 5 receivers that he trusts. That's dangerous because if you're going to play man on us, you're going to get tired over the game. It's just a fact. It doesn't matter how good of a corner you are, you're going to get tired. It's really hard to do constant sprints all day long. So, we have the experience of playing against a bunch of matchup zone defenses. You throw man at us. I think that has the opportunity to see Sark actually cook.
We do ZT. We have it. We definitely have an insane 1-2 punch at running back. Excited for that. This echoes what Tran said earlier. They're not young.
Yeah.
These guys came here to be part of the NFL factory. Isaiah Bond came here because he saw A.D. Mitchell come here last year, and now A.D. Mitchell is being talked about as a first-round pick. By the way, I don't know if y'all have been seeing those reports about A.D. Mitchell being an asshole in real life that the scouts somebody put out there. That is classic day of draft bait. So somebody can get him at the end of the round.
Oh, I
Did
could
you see
be well, I haven't read it, but I could be the first to say that A.D. Mitchell and his whole family are extremely kind. My son went up to his mom and said, "Hey, I really love the way your son handles his route running and how physical he is with catching the ball." He said that to his mom, and they sat and talked to us for a good 30 minutes after a game. No joke. They took pictures with my son, saying he was the sweetest young man, and they were just taken aback that my son watches their son's game, and they were they were great people. So yes, they just want him to. A lot of teams just want certain people to fall to them.
It happens every year in the draft. They will plant something, and the person that planted it is the person that's trying to draft you. Because so do not, the story was so ridiculous that I literally laughed when I read it. And they were talking about maybe his blood sugar's low. That's why he's so he might have diabetes. Like what?
Okay. Now they're just pulling for stuff.
Somebody said, I guarantee you that report came from Kansas City.
The Twitter handle was Patrick Mahomes.
Bro, I saw that too. He said they talked about his diabetes. Like, damn, what about HIPAA violations? It was
Oh.
so random. It was so random until you realize, oh, it's a week before the draft, right? Like if that had come out in like February or March or something like that, but a week before, bro, you know what I'm saying? Like we know what
Yeah.
this is. Everybody's jostling, especially when you're picking at the end of the draft and you really like a player, and it's like it's harder to really account for it. So you're trying to get somebody's stock to just plummet. Oh man.
And then you get the story of the draft night. Oh, he dropped because he had some character issues, and you get all that.
Jeez, man. Um, so let's see. Fahim said, I'm excited to play teams that actually do what they said they're going to do on film. Remember last year we had to deal with a lot of the switch up. Uh,
That's
everybody
funny.
had one game plan for Texas and then one game, the other, what they do the other 11 games.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny. That's funny. No, I do to a certain degree agree with you there because we definitely dealt with some curveballs last season, which probably I'm not going to say it's all of the reason, but I think that is because this is going to lead me back to the arch stuff. It's probably a reason why we were a little slow to pull away in some games and get the separation we're looking for. Again, not all of the reason, but when you deal with those curveballs, it's like boxing, right? When somebody comes out with you and shows you movement that you're not used to, it's probably going to take you a couple extra rounds or so to download and process everything before you know what your attack is going to be. So, especially when people are not doing stuff that you prepared for the whole week on film. So that is definitely something. But I do want to be in a position to where that's not a challenge this year because folks like Arch will need their snaps, right? This is also a development for moving onward. And if we're able to play football tomorrow, weather pending, I really want to see him command this team too.
Mm-hmm.
Look good, right? Look sharp. Uh, look as advertised. I think he got a bad case last year because he was running with the threes, and it was there's not when you run with the third team offensive line, it's either one read or you're running for your life, right? Like there's you can't. It's not real offense like it would be in a real game. That being said, because it's Arch and he's a Manning and everybody in the media and the mom is out there, it immediately turned into he's a bust and look at this and all this type of stuff and the noise that was out there after the spring game last year was very, very annoying. Noise aside, though, we want to make sure that we have a stable QB2 backup that can come in and win games if need be and can lead this football team and is also developing in that factory mode that you talked about, Tran.
No, I agree. We talked about it. I think probably about 5 minutes. Last videos that Quinn hasn't made it through a season, so we need him to have those reps, live game reps, where he's not a deer in the headlight or trying to do too much as like you said the the Manning moniker or the Manning name carries a lot of weight in the quarterback community. So I know that he's got nothing but pressure just from a naming convention standpoint. But if we get him the reps that seem like they're meaningless, it's going to do wonders for his confidence throughout his career. I feel personally.
You know, with Arch too, he's a different type of quarterback than Quinn. He is going to be more mobile. He is going to use his legs more. And I want to see, an expanded, just seeing him play football, seeing him navigate drives when he decides to use his legs. I mean, you saw a taste of that at the end of last season, when he got in at the Tech game and his movement there. He is a different player from Quinn. He's going to, the offense will look different when Arch is in there. So, how has he adjusted to the speed of the game? I guess is a big question for me, and just looking comfortable. I think that's a big thing because the talent there is there, and um, it's funny too because going back to the red zone issues, the most efficient Texas red zone offense under Sark is still the 2021 5-7 Steve Sarkisian Texas Longhorns.
Hmm.
And because Casey Thompson and Hudson Card could just run down in the red zone area. So that if you remember, things weren't, at least from what I call it wasn't as stagnant trying to score touchdowns because the quarterback was always a run threat.
Yep.
And I think to start last season before Quinn really, the OU game where he really got popped, remember, he was leading us in rushing touchdowns because that's the hardest thing to account for in the red zone is the quarterback run game. So Arch gives you that naturally, by the way, just with his movement. But I want to see the progression overall for him, as a player.
Yeah, I remember that. You disrespected constantly Quinn's running ability. And it was great just to see it every single week, him score a touchdown until he got hurt.
I just he he's fast when he's running in a straight line.
Yeah, he's got straight line speed.
He has straight line speed. It's just when we ask him to go left, right, that's when I get nervous. I get
Yeah. When you ask him to be an athlete, that's what, that's when I hold my breath.
What's up, Quentin? Thanks for the super chat, man. Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it, man. Shout out Steven Trent. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the super
What's up,
chat.
man?
Really, really appreciate it. Um, let's real quick. I saw a question here, recruiting question. So, thoughts on potential two QB class: KJ Lacey, possibly Keelan Russell from Duncanville. I don't think it's gonna. I think this is just me. I think we're heading towards them maybe leaning more Keelan Russell when this plays out. The thing is, Keelan's developed so much at Duncanville. I think he kind of got a bus driver tag his sophomore year when they won state because that team was just so. I mean, you hand the ball off to guys like Caden Durham, and then you're throwing to DeCorian, and you got caught. Like that team was just crazy loaded. And then last year at Duncanville, like Keelan was, he really, really, and he's 6'4". He's held that SMU offer. SMU got in there early. They offered him, I think, on his first or second start at Duncanville when he was like 14, 15 years old. So they're still hanging on in there. My thing with the KJ Lacey thing is with all the movement in Alabama, and now, the staff's there, and I know Alabama's trying to make a play for Juju Lewis, and USC's trying to hang on to that thing. I think there's going to be a lot of movement with all the quarterbacks. And I know Sark is high on a couple 2026 guys, including Rajah Bell's son, who is I think the top quarterback for 2026. So it's gonna be interesting. And look, let's address the elephant in the room. They're trying to flip DeCorian Moore. We feel like we're close. It would help if you get his high school quarterback and a two-time state championship winning quarterback, right? So a lot in play there. And how tall is KJ Lacey? That's the other thing I have a question about is his size. I mean, he's obviously been spectacular in the state of Alabama, but I have some questions about KJ's size. But yeah, just wanted to address the recruiting question real quick. Live during the draft, probably not, but I will have draft coverage on Thursday to some degree. Not sure. Do y'all think Michigan will come out three safety high just to see how we respond? No.
No, their physical defense. They have the length at corner. They're going to play us. They're not going to do anything cute against us. They're going to try to do what got them to the game last year.
These guys are defending national
Yeah,
champions
they're not going to be cute.
playing at home.
Yeah,
They going now and they have good, like, if you look at the way that they defended Washington, when Harbaugh left, man, the what's his name? I think
D
his
line
number 12.
coach.
Now the
Oh,
corner,
okay.
they have really good corners still.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's going to be a challenge for us. That can play hands on man. They can play one safety high and really, I mean, they defended those Washington receivers very well. Now Penix didn't have, obviously he was not nearly as sharp against Michigan as he was against us. But I don't think that the gimmick type stuff. I don't see them going out of their way to that degree. They may throw in some wrinkles or some looks, but I don't see them going out of their way running a whole different like Houston did last year,
Right.
where Houston never ran three high, and they literally ran three high the whole, like, they installed it just for us. I don't see that type of stuff happening. They have too much talent. They're trying to showcase their guys the same way we're trying. That's like asking us if we would run a whole different defense because we're scared of somebody. What are we going to say, Trent? We're Texas. We're going to play
Yeah.
straight up, right? We're going to run our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So why would Michigan do that?
They're the national champs. That's like, what do they have to prove against us right now? It's like they're gonna go do what they do best.
The other thing, if you're Michigan, that you want to test, if I was them, I mentioned it off the break, and this goes into transfer portal discussions because we know, I believe the UCLA defensive tackle is on campus. There's been conversations about Bill Norton from Arizona, obviously his relationship with Johnny Nansen, his former defensive coordinator, now being here, and us trying to fill out that role. And we'll talk about some of the players that left so far, and I think some more guys are probably on our team going to leave uh, after spring ball. That being said, if I'm Michigan, I'm trying to see if Texas can play big boy football and stop the run. And it sounds crazy because that was our strength last year. But we know what the losses are, and that's what Michigan does, right? Like, there's still, which that won't change under Sherrone Moore, regardless of personnel. That's their identity.
Yeah.
So Texas, and if Texas can show that early against Michigan, look out the rest of the SEC, right? If we're still elite there, because I do think we are going to get a significant boost on the outside and the edges, because we're going to talk about secondary here in a little bit. But the edges, even with the transfers that occurred, I'm looking at both of my starting edges coming back, Ethan Burke, Barron Sorrell, from a playoff team last year. I'm adding a 14 sack guy in Trey Moore from
Yeah,
UTSA,
from UTSA.
who's one of the best players in his conference. I'm adding the number one edge in the country and an absolute dog in Colin Simmons. I'm adding Zena as well, right? So I got arguably the two best edges out of Texas last year. I'm adding Colton Vasek, who's healthy,
Mm-hmm.
who did not play last year, who I've heard who's come back. And if we get the Colton Vasek that was on that Westlake playoff run defense, that's an NFL player
Yeah.
potentially. So I just rattled off what, 5, 6 names at edge, right? Like, there's a reason why some of them boys hit the portal. That some of these young boys came in here came in here as early enrollees and mature bodies, and we're like, no, we here to rush the passer. So haven't even mentioned like even some of the guys are still developing, like Akana, right, who still needs to put more weight on, but there's the edge depth is going to be really really good. No, Ant Hill will get some love, but Ant Hill's in the middle now.
He's not
So we
not
need,
the end.
yeah, we need. I know we used him a lot in that pass rushing role last year, but
We're gonna use
Ant
him
Hill'll
like
probably be the
Micah.
one wearing the mic. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna use him like Micah too. Just we're gonna shift them all over the place just because of his speed.
Will Johnson, thank you, sir. I couldn't remember his name. Will Johnson is a beast. So we will be
Mm-hmm.
like, don't get it twisted. Did you? And that's the other thing. So Thunderchild, thank you for this comment. I do not envy the roster decisions this Texas staff has to make in the very near future to make room for the nose tackles that are coming. I think we started the spring trend. What was the number? 89. We were
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, we're I think we're down 4 now. I think we're at the 85, so probably about 4 more are gonna
We need
probably.
more people to
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah, we need about 4 more people to leave.
Sounds brutal, right? But that's the reality of the situation in terms of upgrading your roster.
That's the issue with pro sports now, baby. Sorry, that's like one of the most entertaining portions of Hard Knocks is like you get so connected to these players, and then they get called into head coach's office. Bring your iPad, bring your iPad with you.
Dang, man. Now, look, I know we form a lot of these attachments, especially in college, get formed in recruiting. Like I didn't want to see Billy Walton hit the portal. I
Yep.
love him, like, and when they won state at South Oak Cliff, and obviously he's Malik's cousin. I don't want to see guys like that hit the portal, and I think he's super talented, but it's the reality. Like he's also looking at it like, damn, is Zena getting more snaps than me already? Is Colin already getting more snaps than me? And I'm older than them. Like shit gets real quick. Like, and this staff is they're recruiting. They ain't like, sorry, we can't wait for people. That now the D tackles, I think there's been a greater sense of urgency in that room because I've heard that Sadir woke up and has been much better throughout camp. Now, how many snaps he can give me, we'll see. But even guys like Aaron Bryant, some of the lesser talked about people that are going to be asked to contribute. Alfred Collins, shout out to Alfred Collins. He got media availability this week.
Mm-hmm.
I was really, really happy for him. Really good dude, by the way. I mean, he talked about why he didn't transfer, why he never entered the transfer portal, or he was like, because Texas is the best college and I love it here. It
That's
was just
awesome.
he's
You
so
you
genuine.
you've got to have play. Well, not only that, was his mom like an all
Yeah, he
American
talks about his mom.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So, I mean, he's been. I'm not going to say brainwashed, but I mean, he's been surrounded by the culture for years since he was a toddler. So, I mean, you got to have those types of players on here that actually love the University of Texas. I know we're in the NIL world right now where money's king for most, but I mean, you still have to have some of your college pride.
Bazoo. We are replacing guys on our two deep, but I
We have
believe
14 returning starters, right?
14 or 15 returning
Yeah.
starters. I mean, it's still 70% of the guys that played in the playoffs last year. Michigan's replacing Blake Corum, JJ McCarthy, the head coach. Like there's a big difference with what Michigan is replacing versus what Texas is replacing. Michigan has recruited very, very well. There's still a shitload of talent over there. I'm not reducing that. And yes, they will be a different team. Yes, Texas did lose a lot of talent. We got guys going to the draft for sure, but with what we added in the portal and what we still have returning, I mean, the brain trust is still in play on both sides of the ball. We haven't lost any coaches. Quarterback's still here. We returned 4 out of 5 starters on the offensive line. That's if those people even retain their positions, because we have so much competition on the offensive line that certain starters' jobs may be in jeopardy because they're getting pushed by other guys. There's a lot of experience on this football team. A lot of guys that played in the playoffs, right, and played in the Big 12 championship. So I'm not out here to say it's a completely brand new team. I don't think that's an accurate assessment in regards to Texas. I mean, you look at we're the only playoff team. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is simple math. We're the only playoff team from 2023 that still has their head coach.
Yep.
Everybody else switched up, or one retired, one went to the league, and the other one went to Bama. So continuity is on Texas' side, as far as I'm concerned. Georgia lost people, and they didn't make the playoffs. Look how many Georgia got. I mean, but Georgia loses people every year. That's the point, right? I mean, when you're recruiting the way you need to be recruiting, and you're supplementing that with the portal the way you need to handle it. If Texas hits on another AD Mitchell, then we ain't worrying about this. Cough, cough, Isaiah buying Matthew Golden, right? Like, yeah, Collins needs to flash. I mean, not flash. I mean, he needs to put. I said flash. He is flash. I'm sorry. He needs to put it together for his sake, for our sake. I mean, I will say this: if he had a draftable grade this year, he was going to get drafted. So he has to, for our sake, game over game in the volume of snaps. That's where we want to see Alfred be that player that we know he can be.
No, I want him to be selfish. He needs to do it for himself. Like, don't do it for us. Just go dominate.
Go do what you're supposed to do.
Yep.
I want to talk about the secondary, Tran. So there's been a lot of talk about people playing different positions and cross training and how the alignments of where you want to see guys, the rise of, Malik Muhammad's had, one maybe could make the argument defensive MVP of camp.
Yep.
You have Andrew Makuba, who's come on the last few weeks and has become comfortable and becoming a leader in the secondary room. You have Jalen Gilbo, who has gotten raving reviews at
A
Star.
resurgence. Yep.
How do you want to see the room play out in terms of this season? Because there's a lot of people in there.
You're talking about rotation wise?
Yeah. I mean, like, for example, last year we had Brooks to the field, Ryan Watts and Manny Muhammad to the boundary, Jade Barron at Star.
Yeah.
And we had Michael Taffy and Bug and Derek Williams and all those guys at safety, right? Now we have Derek Williams, Makuba, Jelani McDonald, Michael Taff at like all these people at safety. We have, if Gilbo can play star at a starter level, and you still have Barron, but now I have still my two corners, Malik Muhammad and Terrence Brooks, plus all those superstar freshmen that just came in. I mean, is there any? Do you want to? There's a lot of people that want to see Jade Barron play. Go out and challenge Terrence Brooks and play field corner, right? And maybe you have Brooks or Jade Barron and Jalen Gilbo on the field at the same time.
Not me.
Um,
I'm not one of those people. I think Jade Barron is one of our best tacklers in open space,
I agree.
and he could tackle at the line. I don't want to take him away from what makes him so great, and he's so physical when there's those quick screen passes. I've seen him break up so many of those. I want to keep him where he's most successful at, where he's gonna have it, where he's gonna be the best playmaker he can be. The star spot's the perfect spot for him. Terrence Brooks, you got to get he's young. He was a young player last year. I honestly thought he did okay, to tell you the truth, for his age. I think with time, and I know people are gonna they're gonna learn quick. Don't throw it to Manny Muhammad. They're gonna learn quick. He just has
Yeah,
like
which means
prototypical on the
more
ball
work is
corner.
going the
Yes,
other way.
yeah.
Yeah.
That people are gonna start and he's gonna start getting opportunities if he starts playing with correct technique and plays tough. He's going to get his opportunities. Yeah, he's going to get burnt. You're going to live and die with a couple of leaving him one-on-ones, but every now and then shade over the top. Either I would say Derek Williams over the top of him just to help out. So I mean, I don't want to move him to the boundary. I do not.
So it's interesting too because a few years ago, Cincinnati had one of the best crews I've seen. Um, like they had Bryant, like Cook at safety. They had Sauce Gardner at the boundary, and then they had Kobe Bryant to the field. And I remember, I think Kobe Bryant actually was the one that won the Thorpe out of that group. And then Sauce Gardner obviously went in the top 5 of the NFL draft. And I look at that model because I'm like, man, can Manny Muhammad really start to do? I know it's crazy. We're throwing out, this is where the Kool-Aid talk starts coming along. But what if he really locked up on the boundary like Sauce Gardner did? Because that made their defense. I don't think people realize how difficult it was with being you're so one dimensional defense, offensively, you're just we can't go that way. It really made it Kobe Bryant won the Thorpe because people were like, we're not dealing with
Throwing
Sauce.
it to the other way.
So it's just funny to me. I feel like that's the model we should be shooting for, in terms of what good looks like, um, of really taking things away. That marries again all of this. People talking about press in the comments. I hear you. Um, you know, pressing up. We don't want to see people playing off. I get it. That marries with what you're doing up front, right? If we're getting heat, because the thing is, PK is not a heavy blitzer like that. He's very strategic with how he sends heat. If he can get there with 4, he's only going to rush 4, which means he's going to also marry that with more conservative type coverage. But Sark talks about wanting to create more turnovers and the need to create more turnovers and looking for playmakers. Well, if you trust your kids and you're leaving them on the island a little bit more and you want to kind of speed the team up, well, we know what needs to happen, right? But we also know that, hey, when it's 3rd and 14 and we are playing conservative, don't give up shit. If you are playing 10 yards off, rally and tackle and get off the field. Do as Ryan Watts is in the draft, ZT.
Mhm.
I think he's going to go. I do think Ryan Watts will be drafted, in my opinion. His workouts have been really good, great size as well. Michael Taft will lead the team in interceptions. Taft's going to play, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
If you can communicate and he's an underrated athlete and he's been productive for us, he's going to play. Now, will he play as much as he did last year and will we rely on him as much? We do have better comms. We've gotten faster. I think Derek Williams, with his talent level, is going to take a big leap. He was already, you know, honestly, in terms of coverage from a safety, he was covering, way better than I've seen Texas guys cover in a long time from a safety position. So now I expect him, now that he's comfortable. This is, by the way, this is Derek Williams' first spring.
Yeah, you're right.
He was not an early enrollee last year. So he's still, there's a lot of upside there. And we have a freak in the room in Jelani McDonald, who that Jelani McDonald, by the way, could become a household name with his God given talent and ability. And now that we're starting to hear him making noise, because he ended the year last year, um, making noise on special teams. So I think it's just going to be out. They're looking for dogs out there to get some snaps, man. It's going to be crazy in that secondary room. Here's what I do like, though, Tran. I feel like the coaching staff has all the perfect pieces in the secondary to play any style we see in the SEC. And we will see multiple styles because both of the Mississippi schools, and I know we play Mississippi State next year, right?
Yeah, we play Mississippi State.
Yeah, so that's Jeff Lebby. So we're gonna see Baron shoot very, very, 11, 10 personnel, super
Yep.
spread out, tons of
Wide,
tempo,
sideline to
wide.
sideline. Yep.
Yeah. So we're gonna go see that, and then we're gonna go play a team like Georgia that's gonna run 12 personnel.
Yep.
Right? So I can play you either way with the personnel that I have. I feel good about that. I don't think I'm at a disadvantage regardless of what style of offense I see next year in the SEC. I think I have all of the pieces in the secondary to be versatile against that. Whether you want to run tempo with a bunch of people or spread concepts, or if you want to play phone booth football and play action and throw to your tight ends. I feel really, really good about that. What's up, Surfer Boy?
Surfer Boy, what's up, man?
Just talk about y'all. That is crazy, though. We do go OU and Georgia back-to-back weeks. That's why I talk about Gauntlet. So those are very whew. It's going to be a fun part of the season. Back-to-back weeks. At least both are on Texas soil.
Yep.
We don't have to travel a whole lot for those games. That's good. But yeah, Nigel, you're saying it. I don't know where Mark Vasquez is, but those are the weeks you need all hands on deck. Because this is the get it back in blood year against OU. Dallas is Norman South.
Dallas is.
The recruiting says otherwise, brother. That's not what the DFW schools are saying. And they're the ones winning all the state championships right now. For those of you who are in here, when's Houston going to come back to the top and start winning states again? Because right now it's really been South Dallas just straight locked out here. So
Dallas is locking it down right now.
Man, I know he's in the draft, but did he go early? The draft is next week, brother.
No, I think he's asking about, like, did he have any eligibility left? Like, could he have stayed one more year, which I think
yes,
he could have.
Yeah, he could have stayed. Yeah, he could have come back for one more year. I'm sorry. I misread what he was saying.
Surfer Boy does have a point on that.
P&G was the only school that wasn't P&G the only school that wasn't a Dallas school that won. I think the rest were DFW schools. You're right. P&G took one. Well, who beat Oak Cliff? Somebody beat Oak Cliff. I forgot. I don't know. I felt like it was like either one or two schools out of all the different classifications. They were all DFW schools. I know P&G, but I forgot what classification they were. Shout out to P&G. That's where Roshan Johnson came from,
Mm-hmm.
former QB. What else y'all want to talk about? Let's see. I got a few minutes here left before I gotta shut it down. Any info on the D tackles in the portal? I forgot the kid's name from UCLA, but I think he's on a visit here, and that's a starter right there. And
Yeah.
then the Bill Norton kid from Arizona um, that they've been talking about.
So, what's the thoughts
Oh,
about?
Andrew Peter Cliff. My bad. I knew I was okay.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. So, what's your thoughts about Vernon Broughton? The wedding is this a sign? Is this a sign that he might be leaving as well? Like he's turning down the spring game, or is this just a hey he's getting married? Like
I don't. Yeah. Nah. Vernon's. I, I don't see that
yeah
as. Yeah. I don't see that as an issue.
yeah. Neither do I if he's getting married. But that's all I've been reading today. Is like oh no.
Well, I will say this though. How do you feel like if you're one of the kids that's hitting the portal? Because I remember this came up. I think with I forgot who it was last year. It was one of the receivers last year. I can't. The brother's name escapes me, but people that leave. And granted, yes, the coaches are looking to get those spots free, so they're encouraging them to bounce. But why would you bounce before the spring game? Wouldn't you want the tape? Or I mean, or is it just like I got to get in the portal as soon as possible?
It wasn't last year's the year before. It was my dude, the one who was like 6'5", who was a funny dude, but he just never put it together. I can't think of his name because he left right before the spring game. What was his name? He's on the video with Colin Johnson and catching the ball.
Malcolm Epps.
Yeah, Malcolm Epps. Wasn't it him?
I don't think it was. Well, he did transfer. That was when
Yeah,
he went to USC. I think he's at Pitt now,
yeah.
but it was somebody else. Um, Leona Leifau. I'm high on him. Going back to last year, to me, he's just a football player, like natural linebacker. This is something I've talked about. If you guys follow my Cowboys content and why they got ran in the playoffs, disrespecting the linebacker position in football. It's so critical to have good linebacker play, and it sets the tone and attitude for your defense. I
Yeah.
have never been on a good like going back to when we played, and I know it's bullshit high school level for me, but you played in college, so you played at a higher level. But tell me a good defense you were ever on where you didn't have good linebackers and they
I
weren't your
I
main.
can't. I can't. I can't.
So people trying to bypass this and say, "Oh, we could just move this guy from safety and spend people." Yeah, people can spend down to the position within reason. But this whole thing of, I think football people are trying to play basketball a little too much on grass, and it's like still like some of these linebackers, these guys that are wearing the neck pads that don't look super athletic, but they be in the right spot, man, every single time. Like, you need them boys. Those are the dudes on 4th and 1 that just come out of nowhere in the hole and
Yep.
boom and baptize somebody, right? Or you remember that guy Mike Rose from Iowa State a few
Yeah.
years ago?
Yeah, I mean he wasn't a huge middle linebacker. I think he was like 225, 230, something like
Whatever
that.
he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching the Birmingham Barons or whatever their names are on the UFL the other night. I don't know what team he was on. It looked like one of the teams from any given Sunday out there, but the brother, I saw, but I was like, "Yo, is that Rose from Iowa State?" And he got a pick, but it was like literally what I'm talking about, where he like he like undercut the dig route, like he knew it was coming, and the quarterback was like, "What the hell?" Like, I'm like, I saw that guy do that in the Big 12. He got high IQ. He watched film. I don't know what team he's on, but I was like, I, that's like you need Leona Leifau reminds me of those type of people, right? We've gotten so enamored with athleticism and speed, and it's a game of inches. Everything's important. I've seen people on Twitter say, "Well, how significant is helmet comms in college?"
Very.
Everything matters.
Yes, very.
If it's a game of inches and one coach is more comfortable and can get better comms in those 20 seconds than another coach, that's an advantage. Period. Even if it's small, even if it's overtime in football, it's a game of inches. So if I have that one little thing over you, I'll take it. Surfer Boy's hilarious.
What? Oh, the newest one that he sent. Hey,
Hey,
I guess
look at Corey. Corey said, "Ask Michigan how important they are." Michigan,
that's fantastic.
God bless Michigan. Their cheating forced real change in college football. Necessary change. They Jim Harbaugh died so we could have helmet comps. Yeah, this kid is. I'm excited about this kid.
Day one starter.
That Michigan joke was funny. After he transferred, yeah, it's funny because some of the people that were trying to tell me that helmet comms isn't a big deal were actually some OU people. Go figure. Uh, Dude, come on. Jim Harbaugh did not have an insanity run. What? He made the playoffs like 3 straight years.
It's very true. He did.
Have an insanity run, man. What? Come on. I don't know. I feel
Hey,
like he's become underrated weirdly as a coach.
I mean, he's coached a team in the Super Bowl. He's won a national championship at college, and he took a Stanford team that has to deal with academic issues to the Rose Bowl, right?
Hmm.
Winning a BCS. I mean, he's done. He's been a winner at every single level.
Next will be scanners trying to pick up others' headsets somehow. Well, I mean that's not an issue in the NFL though.
Yeah.
And if anybody cheats, it's them.
Hell yeah.
You don't ever hear about people. You don't hear about signals shit in the NFL, and they cheat.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
when do the mics get muted? How what time?
15,
15 seconds in the play
30 seconds.
clock.
When does NCAA football come out?
July 14th, probably. I'm just throwing that number out. It's that date out. Don't quote me on that. It's just I remember it was around July, something like middle of July when what, 15 years ago or whatever, 10 years ago.
Man, that's gonna be a day where marriages are gonna fall apart,
Oh,
man.
I'm taking that day off. I'm looking it up right now. I'm logging hours for that. No hours for that. Uh,
That is gonna be a nasty, nasty day. I mean, it's a glorious day for us as fans because I can't wait to build the program, dog. I might cry upon first login. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
oh, I cannot wait just to see the little movie that they have. I can't wait.
They got to throw in some Easter eggs for us older players
I'm sure they will.
for nostalgia purposes, man, because everything about the video game in its glory days, the soundtrack,
July 19th. Wait,
the,
wait, I'm seeing two different dates. I'm seeing July 19th and then also July 12th. It's like the same thing with that Max Holloway fight. We couldn't figure out. Conflicting Google.
right, and that ended up being
The greatest fight
the
ever.
iconic
Yeah.
moment of UFC 3.
Dude, I was texting you. I was going nuts. I was like,
This is what Jack Harbaugh is just Jim Harbaugh from the future coming back in time to give Jim the play calls. You know what's funny? They look so alike. It's this Daryl, thank you for this comment because it's hilarious. And Daryl, the fact that your name is Daryl is tripping me out because your last name starts with a G, and it's like,
so Gerald.
yeah, that's funny. Anyway, they when I first saw it, when I first saw his dad and I saw Jim, I was like, this reminds me of like when Biff Tannen saw older Biff. Like
Stupid. Stupid.
that's how that's Jack Harbaugh and Jim Harbaugh. It just reminds me of like a Biff Tannen type scenario. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Uh,
Bert Auburn's still there. He's not on scholarship anymore apparently because he's making too much money um, for NIL.
he's waiting on his head and shoulders
Yeah.
bag. Don't do that, Victor. Don't do that. You know, don't do that.
I mean, you did. You are a proud season ticket.
I'm an NBA season ticket holder. Okay,
It just so happens to be in Dallas.
but I am not a Mavs fan. I enjoy good ball. They have been playing good ball. Um, they are Kawhi might bail them out though if he doesn't play in the series. But if that first round matchup is probably a 7 game series, 6 or 7 game series minimum. Uh, so as well as they've been playing, they really needed to get out of that 4 or 5 slot and into like the 3-6 slot. But they should beat the Clippers this time. They really should. With how well they've played, the trades they made, the way they've been defensively, I expect the Mavericks to win that series.
That's it. I mean, in 4 years, I mean, Luke is just going to look good in a Spurs jersey. It's fine.
Either him or Giannis.
Him and Giannis, yeah, we'll just throw out 3 supermax contracts. I will not be there. My son has a baseball tournament in Dripping Springs, so I will not be there.
I will not be there as well, but I will be there in spirit.
Yeah.
And I will have, if we have a game tomorrow, I will come on and talk about the game, and then we'll have normal post game coverage. There's a limit on NIL.
No, I was just busting balls. Like I was just joking.
Oh,
I was just joking. I think it was about the Bert Auburn thing. But I really do think he turned down his scholarship offer because he was making too much money for NIL.
well, they sort that stuff out
Yeah.
on the back end with the with the
Yeah,
boosters and
yeah.
giving.
We're really good at laundering. We're good. Laundering scholarships now.
Hey, we gotta make sure people take. I mean, honestly, it's probably gonna get to a point where if you're a specialist, you're not on scholarship. We'll just make sure you're covered, and
Yeah,
will cover your money,
yeah.
and then have no specialists on scholarship, and all those to have because we need another defensive tackle or whatever, but we'll just pay them. I mean, it is what it is. Until there's no regulations on this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Texas, that's the thing. As long as there's no regulations and they're rolling the way that they're rolling, flex your muscle.
Yeah,
Flex. Do whatever you gotta do. There's a reason why within 2 years of NIL coming out, Texas was in the playoffs. Like now we get to actually use our muscles. So and look, it's more to it than that because you know who else has a lot of money, pretty much the same amount of money as we do, is Texas A&M, and they spend they haven't had that success. They haven't. They have all the money in the world too, and why aren't they? Why didn't they just immediately come back up like we did? I think we've been better organized and better arranged with how we've utilized our resources. So there's other schools out there that have bread. We're not the only people that are rich, but we've done it strategically in a very, very, very good way. But that's what Texas should be doing.
yeah. I mean, yeah, we definitely aren't the only school that has money, and I mean, look what USC tried to do. Bag after bag after bag. They're in Southern California, signing bonus of houses or condos. You're in the spot where you can do a ton of commercials. I. But what did that yield in the Pac-12? Nothing.
Right. I mean they got a Heisman out of it, but that was an individual thing, not necessarily a championship. But AD Mitchell was worth a lot for us. We needed him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like with all the good stuff we had going on, the thing is we every single time we needed to kind of supplement something or pick something up somewhere, we could do it. And so, I know what's his face. Unfortunately, I mean, and they took some risks. I mean, they went and got out. They went and tried to do it with Catalan at safety. They took some risk. His body was toast, which I predicted, by the way. But people were telling me otherwise. But I had heard some intel at Arkansas about those type of train. You know better than me, but when you start dealing with the pectoral muscles and the shoulder and all that,
Anything. You start
bro,
overcompensating on any joint or any major muscle. If there's a strain, a sprain, or anything like that, you start overcompensating, and then something else starts hurting. Like when I blew out my knee, my lower back started hurting because my hips started getting tight. So I mean, it's all connected. And if you're playing a sport where you're constantly hitting people over and over again, especially if you're a physical safety like Catalan was, it's just a matter of time. Like, yeah, your body can only take so many hits.
and then when we get to the top guys that we had to go after, Kelvin Banks,
Mm-hmm.
he was an Oregon guy. So when they really need to go out and look, we need to go get XYZ talent.
Go get
We
it.
need to go
No
get it.
excuses.
No excuses. We
Did
need
you
to
know
go
that?
head up against LSU for Colin Simmons, who's putting out hella resources for him. Go get him. Texas winning those back. Now, yes, everything winning, culture, NFL development, Sark, everything plays into it. But I, I'm saying this because people have shit on Texas, and in a lot of cases, rightfully so, because of booster interference and a bunch of Jerry Jones running the place and all type of stuff. But when they mobilize and have been using their resources effectively and collectively and inform awesome organizations on the back end to help us close the deal on some of these players, they deserve to get credit too.
Yep.
Because some of these players would not be here if not for that.
Mm-hmm.
With the fierce competition that was out there for them.
Right.
So I that's why we have why we're able to Sark knows he has the backing to go and clean up whatever he needs in the portal post spring with those defensive tackles. Offers are already on the table. So, you know, utilize it. As long as it's that's the sport we're in right now. He said they mobilized to give Tom Herman his severance check. Oh,
I hope we can win 9 games as a Cowboys fan.
shout out to Sark, by the way, for his extension too. How many years? I think since I've been on this channel, and Tran, keep me honest, please. I've always said I want to at least get to a point where we're having conversations about extending the head coach, not is he the guy?
Yeah.
You remember
It's
those
since we've
days
started this channel, my friend.
since we started this channel? We've been talking about why aren't we having extension conversations? We're having is he the right guy conversations.
Year in, year out.
And so that's one thing I know, we haven't been making the most videos in the off season, but I will take the time right now to emphasize how cool it was to see Sark get that extension. Life changing money, honestly, generational money. And us for the first time, like, hey, let's extend Sark. Jeff Banks I believe, got a significant raise. Kyle Flood, all these guys, right? And then the people that are, the guys that have moved on or left, it will become, obviously Jeff Choate, right? Be able to go on and become head coaches and get paid and help their families. So credit, right? Because we always quick to have those who do we need to fire conversations. Yeah, choice is the next one. Choice is going to be hard to keep. I mean, because somebody's going to say, you're more than just a running back coach, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or what if we want to give you a co-OC title to come to our school? How do you combat that if you're Texas?
You
Because
can't.
you already have like um, Milwee and Flood and look, I'm not. We don't need to have that conversation right now. But Tashard Choice is a superstar. The NFL is going to get involved at some point and want to get him too. By the way, because they love to pluck some people too.
Yep.
So Stan Drayton went on to become the head coach at Temple. Yep, absolutely. Stan Drayton, and somebody pointed this out on the Mark Rogers show I was on Monday. Bijan Robinson, Roshan Johnson, and Jonathan Brooks, Stan Drayton running backs. Jaden Blue, technically his offer was from Stan Drayton.
Zeke Elliott.
So
Wasn't Zeke Elliott his too?
yeah, Zeke was
Yeah.
Zeke. Yeah, at Ohio State. So Tashard Choice is definitely, obviously, he's been killing it and kept the party going. And we've heard great things already. Trey Wisner, Just the strides he's made and team player. And then the young backs, Clark and Gibson, who they already say them boys, them freshmen look physically like they're both physically already there. They look like grown men for freshmen. So it's a stable that we got going on there, and he holds them accountable. I love the way he coaches. Um, he's he's a cool dude. He's not but he's an old school Southern boy. I ain't your friend. I'm your coach. But you can relate to him too. You know what I mean? And I love that about Shard Choice and what he's brought to. I think he's brought a lot of juice, not just to the running back room, but to our program. Um, and that dog mentality. And I want to see that carry over with the offensive line.
And watch your girlfriends around him.
That's we got to.
I will. I
You
will
got to.
answer that
You
with
got to keep that offline, man.
that. No, one thing, one thing
Y'all earmuffs, guys.
one thing I'm looking forward to in the spring game is something that we haven't seen in a while, and the students weren't old enough really to understand like how good we were in the early 2000s. Like DKR was always packed. It was loud. And then towards like past like 2007, 2008, we started getting that reputation of just being like the LA Laker fans of college football, where we would come late and then leave early and it was just like quiet type of thing. Now we get to start seeing this new batch of young college kids get to enjoy a good team, and I want to see the energy. And I mean, it honestly starts tomorrow. I want to see like they'll say some stupid number like 65,000 strong, and it's not. It's not really that. I want to see if the stadium is actually kind of full. So I'm very interested to see what type of what type of crowd it brings after a playoff appearance.
Uh, cool comment here from Michael Alvaredo. Hey guys, just found this channel. Love it. Thank you. Checking in from United Christus Hospital, waiting for my daughter to be born. Future Longhorn on the way.
Nice, congrats,
Congratulations.
congrats.
Congrats. That is awesome. That is awesome, man. Blessings to you. Hopefully, mom is okay as well. I'm sure it's a very exciting time. Tran knows it better than I do because I haven't been blessed enough to have a kid yet. But I can only imagine what's going through your mind right now. So hopefully we're giving you a little bit of a positive distraction before your whole life gets crazy. So
Hey,
congratulations.
pro tip, let them take the baby to the nursery and y'all get sleep. All right. My first child, when I had him, I felt guilty. We kept him in there, and that he's my son, so I love him very much. But that asshole cried all night. But my daughter, when it was there, she was great. But I was just like, hey, just take her, and you give her the little formula that y'all give her, and yeah, we straight dog.
Get some rest. That is awesome. No, that man, that's beautiful. 85,000 in Norman every spring. Absolutely, man. They gotta, that's their biggest community fundraiser that they have. I think they're charging $17 a head to get to the game. They need the money, especially to cover the debt that they're in from going to the SEC. So, hey, they gonna have a great spring outing. Some people look. You see some of the spring games happening. There's like 500 people in the stands,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Look, Texas, we've tried to be the big, it happened, I think, when Sark like first got here. Every time there's like a new coach, they try to Notice how we've gone back to 1 o'clock game, spring game, and it's just look, Austin in the springtime. There's so much going on that it's gonna be like not to the Fanatics are gonna be there. That's there's not it's not like that, but it's not gonna be like Lincoln, Nebraska, where you're focused selling out a spring game, or Columbus last week where they had a nationally televised spring game. Like that's how they roll, right? But doesn't make any difference in the fall. Now they gonna look. They're gonna be out there at the OU spring game selling Girl Scout cookies. Any hustle. That's the best place to be if you're trying to make a quick buck. Is out there in Norman when they have their spring game because Lord knows they need the money. So they're gonna be out there, you know, panhandling and whatnot, just trying to do what they gotta do, man. Will we be back on Bleacher Report? I hope so. I would love the opportunity. Right now, I'm not sure, but TBD on that. That's something that they kind of more so organize come summertime. But however that looks this year, it was our first time doing it, and they had launched the app, so it was like first time for all the content creators. But it was hella fun last year, so hopefully we get the opportunity to do that again. But that was a commitment every Friday during work hours to run a show. That was tough. Is the grass? No, but everybody that's here, I see 86 people still here in the chat. We're hour 36 minutes in. We'll go for another 5 minutes and close. But if you're here,
because it's gonna be 5 minutes is gonna turn into 20 minutes.
I try, man. It's your fault and the chat's fault. I will throw out like right when we're going to wrap up. Somebody will throw something out that we got to talk about. Now another 30 minutes has gone by.
There's that one night too that they started shouting out like sports movies. We were on for 4 hours.
Yeah, that's when I exposed you to the garbage kicking field
Yes,
goal.
from Philadelphia.
Yeah, the Tony Danza joke. Yeah, exactly. The conversation always goes silent. That's part of why y'all are here. That's part of what makes us fun. Yeah, yeah. Sidebars. Jeez, man, that's funny. Does it look weird without the Frank Irwin Center?
Well, no, the Frank Irwin Center, the shell is still
Yeah,
there. The
yeah,
shell
still
is like the outside, like you see the framing of the Frank Irwin Center still right now.
Any upperclassmen you think will have a breakout year? Good question.
Mm-hmm.
Good question. So I'm really excited. David Ben. See, I already see the one that's going to derail me right now. I already see it. Somebody, Victor knows me too well.
Oh,
Anyway,
Handy Burgers Garcia in the
oh,
boxing.
Victor wanted to derail us, just like he did with the Mavericks comment. That's what happens when he just knows us too well. But to answer this question, because this is a really good question, very excited for David Benda.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's been here forever. Very good athlete, really, really good kid. I think that's one of the best pieces you can have next to Anthony Hill, to have that experience and that leadership. But he also has a pretty defined skill set. So right there's my boy Game Speed, Mo Blackwell. The only thing that slowed down Blackwell was his injury last
Injury.
year,
Yep.
or else he may have. He was. I picked him to be the breakout player last year. Fortunately, he went down with injury, but uh, those two can complement each other pretty well. So for the upperclassmen, those two immediately come to mind. Uh, Another one will be Gunnar Helm at tight end. Excited about the addition of Amari Nyblack. Juwan Davis sticking with the program after he, kind of flirted with the portal. But Gunnar Helm, who shined a little bit last year, he is more of a receiving threat than he is a blocker. But that's going to be somebody who, if you think about Quinn from a comfort standpoint, he should be very comfortable with Gunnar Helm.
Mm-hmm.
Play a lot of football. Gunner's made some big plays. He's had some big touchdowns for us. I think the thing with Gunner is he's going to be more consistently part of the passing game, right? Especially if we go big again and do the Malik Agbo thing, where maybe Gunner's out there and Agbo's the other one, but and we're relying more on him to block. But upperclassmen wise, Gunner Helm would be my pick on offense. It's a good question though, because it's always cool to see the old heads.
Mine's Alfred Collins.
Nice.
Mine's Alfred Collins. I mean, we all know he has the prototypical body. I just want to see him produce it on the field.
That's a good question, man.
So Haney or Garcia? With Garcia basically losing his mind.
What a
Weigh
promo!
in? What a weigh-in, huh?
What a win! I mean, the kid. All right, so let's start here. I will say this: showing up to a title fight, and this is it is what it is, because no longer a title fight.
Yeah,
But
because fucking like I can't believe he did
showing
that.
up,
That's so disrespectful. Like,
is so disrespectful. It's unprofessional, and I think that there's two different ways. Either he's completely lost his mind and he's just, this is just a bus. This is us watching a train crash, right? Like not even a car crash, but like a train coming to crash. Like, he's so far gone from the guy we saw fight Luke Campbell. It's not even funny. Or this is just like, I just want to win, because if he wins the fight and beats an undefeated Devin Haney, a Devin Haney that was undisputed at lightweight at 135, and a Devin Haney that's quickly come up to 140 and gotten a belt, he ascends, right? Regardless of what the tank loss, he ascends, especially with all the trash talk. But I think he's, it could be just he feels like his best path to victory is power and being the bigger man. And they said, screw the weight. Because Ryan Garcia doesn't care about belts.
yeah, no.
He doesn't care about belts. So that could be the game plan. But I also see somebody that is battling some demons, man. I did not. Did anybody see Oscar De La Hoya's face on the stage?
No.
Oscar's been
mortified. Was he mortified?
Yes. Especially when he came out and drinking the beer. Some people are like, "Oh, this water. They put water in there." Blah blah. I don't know, bro. I literally expect anything to happen tomorrow in the ring. Seriously, like Ryan might pull out like nunchucks out his shorts and start hitting Devin Haney for all we know. I don't know what to expect, because it's chaos. He chugged it like I don't know what the hell to expect tomorrow.
Why is the fight so early? Like they're walking at like 8 o'clock.
I don't know. What if I in Vegas? So it should be. Um,
Maybe it is 8 o'clock their time, 10 o'clock our time.
yeah,
So
yeah, I'm concerned. Devin Haney needs this because a huge payday for him,
yep.
right? Biggest payday of his career. He's struggled as great as he's been. Devin is he's been kind of a square. His dad is the one that talks more than Bill Haney is kind of the mouthpiece there. And Devin's not a sexy boxer in terms of knockout ability and all this type of stuff. He is super technical and he's very, very good. He's, I think people have now overdone it on the Devin stuff. But if Devin can pull this off, then now we have to need to have a conversation about the other people. Like Pitbull Cruz had a huge win. Rolly sucks. Okay, Rolly sucks. But the fact that Pitbull beat the shit out of Rolly is great. Okay, because we needed somebody to get that belt. So, but Pitbull fights in a crowd pleasing Mexican style. Let's square up. I'm a f you up manner, right? And he's always coming forward, and it's exciting. That's where we start to having those conversations. Tiafimo out there at 140. Um, Tank is out here trying to do this dance, I think, with Shakur. So we'll see what Tank does. But I love the way Pitbull showed out last card. Uh, so we'll see. Uh, Tomorrow night is going to be something chaotic's going to happen in the ring. The way that this whole promotion has been tracking from the moment this fight was announced, these two have fought each other what in the amateurs 4 times,
Mm-hmm.
I think, and they're 2-2, or it's either twice and each one won, or they fought 4 times and each person won twice. So they're like trying to break the tie between the two
I,
of them from amateur.
so at one point, the tie was broken when they had a rubber match, right? Why a fourth?
At the amateur level, I mean, I think they
I,
just
I don't care if it's at the amateur level or not. I just like if you fought 3 times and someone's won two that won the rubber match, I honestly don't think there should be a fourth. Like for everyone's saying that Max and Volk should fight for the fourth time, and I'm like, no, Volk's won all 3 of them.
I
No,
will say this though. Uh, Manny Pacquiao fought Juan Manuel Marquez 4 times, and he won twice, and I think one was a draw,
and then he got
and then
he got
Marquez put him to sleep in the
yeah.
fourth one. Now, the Manny fans will tell you, and they might be right, that Marquez was juiced that night to God's end, and nobody was going to beat Marquez that night.
No,
Marquez put Manny to sleep in the fourth fight.
yeah,
But they fought 4 times.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm against it, man. That's just me. That's my personal opinion. It's like I don't need to see it.
they fought 6 times.
Oh, that's way too much.
I
That's just
thought
way
it
too
was
much.
4. I could.
You're just padding your record at that. You're just trying to pad your record at that point.
But it's 3 up.
I know. I guess it is 3-3.
Oh man, it's 3 up. Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler only fought once. I think you're thinking of Hearns, because Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns fought 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't mind 3 fights, like because that's 2-1, you straight. You beat someone 3. You beat someone 2 out of 3 times. Yeah, True, you're right. That is some WWE stuff. That is. You are completely right. One of them fools has to finish the story, right? Right, you got it.
Yeah, Leonard. The thing is also, if you remember Surfer Boy, Marvin Hagler was so upset from the controversial decision that Sugar Ray Leonard took that fight that Marvin Hagler never fought again, and may he rest in peace.
Mhm.
Uh, the man retired and like moved to Canada with his wife and said, "Screw everybody, I was robbed." Right, so but that's also one of the fights that got me into boxing. My dad and I watched that fight over and over on VHS. He taught me how to score a fight. He taught me what to look for in terms of the Marcus of Queensberry rules. Uh, but that's a very controversial fight. Till this day, if you poll 1,000 boxing fans, 500 people will tell you Sugar Ray Leonard won the fight. 500 people will tell you Marvin Hagler won the fight.
Mhm.
So that's how crazy that one was, and it was a great fight. Tactically, both guys weren't technically in their prime anymore. They were a little older. Uh, but excellent. I mean, boxing, those were the glory days. I mean, Sugar Ray's prime, yeah, was around when he fought Roberto Duran the second time. That was when Sugar Ray was in his prime, I would say. But Roberto Duran, for those who don't know, and maybe there's a movie. They even have a movie about him. I think it's called Hands of Stone or something like that. Uh, he has an argument for being the greatest lightweight ever because he was a killer in the 1970s. Some of the most explosive knockouts you will ever see. Go watch YouTube. Go YouTube Roberto Duran lightweight. We've never seen anybody dominate division like Roberto Duran did, and then for him to still move up into that welterweight with all the killers, Hagler, Hearns, Roberto, Sugar Ray Leonard, and all them dudes, and Duran put on a show and beat Sugar Ray the first time, straight up, won that fight before the No Mas.
Yeah.
So Roberto Duran, I think will probably go down in history as the greatest lightweight ever with the volume of fights. Floyd Mayweather has a say, but Floyd didn't stay there long enough. Floyd kept moving up. Manny kept moving up. That's how things go now. But back then, people would stay in their division 10 toes down for fucking 8, 9 years and just be the king. Mark Vasquez is out here, Tran. So I love you, man. You know what?
Hey, what's up, Mark? I love you too, brother.
Since I got to talk boxing,
Hey,
Tran, I
so
will let you.
wait. Red Man said Roy Jones Jr. That is my favorite boxer of all time. I have a ton of Roy Jones Jordan shoes in my closet right now, and yeah, I just thought he was just amazing, just going up and down in weight class. I think that also ruined his career at the same time, but
Worst decision.
yeah, but the fact that he did that and he won it at so many weight class, so many heavier weight classes, it's just amazing. What were you going to say? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, well, speaking of Roy Jones, it was oh man, it was the Hispanic guy. It was John that he went up to heavyweight to fight. I
Uh,
know he got the belt, but his body never was the same
yeah,
after because he killed himself to get up to that weight to fight. John Ruiz,
yep,
thank you, sir.
Ruiz. Yep.
Ruiz. And he made history at that time, but at what cost? Right? Because at that point, when he went back, like Roy Jones Jr., to me, before the Ruiz fight, was the best light heavyweight ever. There's not really an argument. It's not really an argument. I mean, I wish some of the guys like had come up from maybe welterweight or super welterweight and to fight him like Bernard Hopkins again. But he beat Bernard Hopkins in '93 at RFK the first time when they were young. And Roy wasn't just great; he was an entertainer.
Yeah.
Like Roy was styling on people on the makes. Roy really made people like he was so good. Like you were like, yo, all these dudes are bums.
So
Like
yeah. So I went to the Bernard Hopkins
Nate
what's
Taylor.
Jermaine Taylor fight. And I saw Antonio Tarver, and my friend was like, "Hey, let's take a picture with him." And Antonio Tarver was real cool. I was like, "Nah, bro, he knocked out my hero." I was like, "He knocked out my hero." I was like, he laughed. Like Antonio Tarver laughed.
That's a great story. I've
Yeah,
never heard that story before.
yeah, dude. It's just like it. My friend Kelly got the. By the way, my friend Kelly is the same one with the
With the
choice.
shark voice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, but
I know. Yeah.
yeah, he actually took a picture. I have it somewhere of it, but I wasn't going to be in it with him.
Thanks, Drew. No, we've missed you guys. I mean, I know we haven't done a live in a minute, so it's been cool just to chat and talk amongst friends. Like I said tonight, we were just going to live in the chat, so it's been dope. Um, Trey, any? I know we talked about Max Holloway in that fight, but Alex Pereira,
Well,
he
I knew. I just had a feeling that like I picked Jamal Hill beforehand, but the
a lot of
walkout,
people did.
the walkout, I saw it and I was just like, yeah, I don't think Jamal Hill is going to win. It's like he was just doing too much, if that makes sense. Like he was too distracted. Man, it showed. It showed. I was like, yeah, like you shouldn't try to get into a boxing match or kickboxing match with a kickboxing champion. That's the truth.
David, what part of the country you in? He said, "How bad can the weather be in Texas this time of year?" This is Texas.
Yeah.
This weather, I don't. Let us know what part of the country you're in, brother, because we both live here in Texas. It's some of the most unpredictable weather you will ever experience this time of year.
It's not just rain, it's supposed to thunderstorm.
We can get anything.
Yeah.
Now, by the time like June rolls around and whatnot, it's just gonna be hot as shit for the next however many months, right? But in April May timeframe, expect anything in state.
Yeah, yeah. Last week we were supposed to shoot, and Gotti and I were supposed to shoot, and I called him. I was like, "Yeah, we're under tornado watch. I'm just gonna
Oh
hold off
yeah,
for a little bit for it."
Surfer Boy said we can't end the night and not talk about Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Um, wow. So I heard that this is an exhibition. That caught my attention. It's not because Jake Paul's fights have actually been technically pro fights. And the reason why I have cause to pause there is because when Mike Tyson fought Roy Jones in that last showcase,
It was an
I think we
exhibition.
found out the day before or something like that. It was like right before the event because they wanted to get the pay per view buys up, and it did do a hell. It did. I think it did over 1 million pay per view buys actually, if I'm not mistaken. I think it did. I think they killed it. I got to look that up. But regardless, they announced like right before it's an exhibition, and then like 24 hours before, it was like they're not even going to do headshots. It was like a sparring session. like a competitive sparring session, but really shots to the body and not and I'm wondering if it's not going to be something in that vein because this would be really interesting if it's like full on. There's a reason why it's not a professional fight, unless it's a licensing thing for Mike Tyson at his age. That also could be the thing. Uh, let's see. Trent, can you see me?
Yeah. Oh no, you're talking. Are you trying to share your screen?
No, no, no. But what's up, Bean? Manny Thorpe.
I would love that.
Manny Thorpe. Let's do it. My man Bean. How you doing, brother? I can't wait to talk ball with you again. Oh yeah, Canelo on Cinco de Mayo. He's still ducking Benavidez, but we'll let it slide. This is still good, very good fight. Magia is also undefeated, somewhat battle tested, but um, we'll see. And then Dimitri Bivol against Beater Beef or Beater Biev. That's a war. Uh, People aren't as familiar with them because of those European guys, but they are killers. Uh, Look, Bevo beat the shit out of Canelo, and we don't even act like you know. And I know it was because Canelo went up in weight. Let's we got to set the thing there, but he still is a fucking boxer, dude. Are we expecting Mike actually to follow the rules? Yes, he followed the rules
Yes.
last time. And you don't think Jake Paul's gonna have some shit in the contract of getting paid if he doesn't? Mike ain't that dumb. He gonna get his bread. There's gonna be something that because I'm just curious. Now, if they're allowed to throw to the head and whatnot, I would love to see nothing more than Mike Tyson just hit one last uppercut to Jake Paul and send him to the moon like Shawn Michaels hitting Sweet Chin Music on somebody. Okay, I would love nothing more. But I have a feeling that there's some parameters to that fight. That's why I'm
This one's getting streamed on Netflix, right?
I hope not because they don't handle live shit well.
I think it is. I think I read somewhere that they're bragging about it's going to be the most watched boxing event ever because it's on Netflix, and of course, just by the numbers, it will be.
Don't do that talk about Canelo. He ducks no one. Why isn't he fighting uh, David Benavidez? I just want to know. And if it's not, why aren't we getting that fight? That's all. I'm not saying Canelo's has his resume of the people he has fought is extremely impressive. Extremely impressive. Okay. But there's a boogeyman in the weight class, and they try to act like this guy doesn't exist. Now I get it with Boo Boo Andre because Canelo's like, I'm not gonna make any money if I fight Boo Boo Andre, and he's old as shit. But then Boo Boo finally got his chance, and he fought David Benavidez, and Benavidez beat the shit out of Boo Boo. So now it's like very clear who the boogeyman is, and he's been calling this man out for years. And then Canelo said he said some crazy number. He said like I need $200 million to fight Benavidez, but he's fighting Mungia or these other people. I just want to know why the fight isn't happening. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's ducking. Victor Santiago posted that though. Okay, Benavidez been number one contender for 3 years. Canelo literally said, "I want 200 million if I'm going to fight Benavidez." Why? You that why? Unless you're concerned that the younger man who's in his prime is going to take you out. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. Drew said he strategically waited to fight Triple G. Wee. Now he did fight Triple G 3 times. That 3rd fight
times
didn't
is the
happen.
number. 3 times is the number.
You said that earlier. You did. 3 times.
No, none of this 6 nonsense.
That 3rd Triple G fight shouldn't have happened. Triple G didn't even look like Triple G. That was another
Yeah.
different situation where it was like, who's this old man in the ring with Canelo? That's not the Triple G I knew would cut the ring off on people and drown them. That was a killer who people were ducking for a minute. Unfortunately, he didn't pop off until he was older, so his prime didn't last as long as it should have. It's not his fault. It's the luck of the draw. But he was great. Triple G was great. Hall of Famer, great. But that 3rd fight, I was like, yeah, he's wild.
He got his ass whooped.
All right, it's 11:37. We're over 2 hours. Shannon, any parting thoughts?
Nothing. I'm interested to see first if we'll play the game and just, we're not going to see anything special, of course, but I just want to see, how the team looks, how they're gelling, things like that.
If we don't get the game, I am happy with just knowing Sark's confidence. I take a lot away from what he says, and that's trust that he's built with the fan base over the last 3 years. Quite frankly, I remember when we were covering Tom Herman, those press conferences. It was Tran had to go into FBI mode to read cryptically what the man was saying half the damn time, especially when it came to the injury report. But at Sark, I feel like is transparent, but not he's not loose lipped. I don't think, and the program's been careful with information. But we feel like when he says this kid is balling or this kid is impressing me, you see it on the field,
and
you see the person showcase. He's not lying. So by that, the only thing that he ever says that annoys me a little bit is populating the ball, but that that's just the way he talks. But Tom Herman had 15 of those annoying little things, somebody would say.
And Tom Herman would also get a dead ball penalty off of a kickoff every single time. So,
and then get mad if you asked him about it.
I've got him where we're with him.
Nah, Sark is we just with that trust there. I think we feel good progressing into summer ball, seeing how the portal plays out, filling out the rest of the holes, getting the rest of the freshman class in here, and then we're going to compete right off the bat in the SEC. The expectation is trying to win an SEC championship year one.
Yep.
That's that's the way the cards are falling. That's the way other rosters look right now. And when you come off the playoffs like we did, and you return what we return, that's the expectation. So I appreciate everybody in here. Shout out to Autograph. Make sure you download it. Awesome app. Get rewarded for fan loyalty, points. You get access to tickets, merch. Use the Fanatic 24 code. They're adding more, teams and whatnot. But right now, one of the early adopter programs of the app is the Texas Longhorns. And use Fanatic 24 to download it. They've been running. They're going to continue to run promos throughout. Tremendous sponsor. Happy to be with them. Available now on Android as well as the Apple Store. Guys, remember, horns always up. Tran, love you, brother.
Love you too, brother.
Peace.
Later.